I talked to a friend of mine recently, and he encouraged me to share some of my stories around violence, because he said, "Listen, it's part of your walk, and you can help many people when you include that." So, thank you, Alex. Here we go. Okay, here's why I got involved in violence. With violence, when I was 15 years old, I was bullied. Someone gave me a black eye. My father basically concluded that you're not made for this. You don't have this in you. By this, he meant that fierceness, that warrior spirit, that ability to fight, which men are born with, I can argue, is in the blueprint of every man. It's in what makes us part of the backbone of emotional backbone of what makes us men, the defend and protect thing. And if it gets not developed or compromised, then it goes somewhere. That whole energy goes somewhere. So this is what happened with me. I started hating myself, thinking, oh, you should have this. I remember feeling, and I describe this very well in my book, The Father Wound, and also on my blog somewhere on Men's Corner. I remember feeling this feeling of dissociation, because I couldn't fight back. My father saw it, and he, instead of offering some alternative way out, he just concluded that, well, my character is like that. It's my makeup. Instead of saying, maybe we can do something together. Maybe I can teach you things. Maybe I can send you to someone who can teach you things and make you stronger on the inside and outside. He said, forget it. You're not made for this. So I remember feeling towards that little boy, I hate you. You ugly, little, childish worm. I wish I could just remove you from myself. Put a bullet through your head and move on without you. And in a way, this is what I did. The very next day I started pumping iron. In 5 years later, I had a shaved head, I had a big body, muscles, and I had something of a reputation. But interestingly enough, that did not come from confidence, where I had to defend myself a few times. Because I think if you grow up, especially if you grow up in a village in rural Bulgaria, what I did, it was a lovely life in many ways. But you need to have a certain. You shouldn't be allowing people to push you around, because it's a small village, and you need to make sure that you establish who you are, not to be a violent guy, but to be not to be a victim. And so the way I did this was that it's funny, because I never thought I was like my father. So I sought out ways in which, subconsciously, in which I would feel like I was like him. I remember every time when my fist connected with someone's face, it was a weird feeling, because I was never into martial arts. I was never really fighting on the playground. So my fighting happened in nightclubs, on the street, in dark alleys. And it was, I must say, an intoxicating feeling. And because of that feeling, I felt, every time when the fist connected, I just felt, you see that? You see? I've got it in me. What you said that I didn't have, I've got it in me. So subconsciously, I was proving to myself and to him, yes, I've got it. Yes, I can be part of this life. Yes, I can be alive here. I'm not going to be on the sidelines. I'm not going to be looking through the window when life happens. I will participate, and I'll make sure that they respect me and they allow me to. So none of it came from malice. None of it came out to hurt people. But I wanted to carve out this space for myself. And part of this is a healthy desire to be protected, to do well. Because if you can't protect yourself, you can at the mercy of other people. And many people are not really merciful. So, yes, why I did it was to prove to my father that I could do it. Was to prove to my father that I was his son. And I remember, there are many stories that, if you guys want me to, I can share some of those stories. And I probably will, because it's part of my life. But I remember how one time I was 19. I remember after a huge altercation with older men, like a group of older men, who have, they came to my house. It's a crazy story, and I fought them off with found something in the garden, a tool, a spade actually. It's those stories, man. Something murderous came up in me, and I just really went for one of them, just went for his face or throat, something like that. And thankfully he lifted up his arm and went into split his forearm, more or less. And afterwards, my father, we were in my house. We were inside. Those guys went. Everything was cool, and actually made me quite famous in the village. Mind you, it's only like the village was made up of 1,000 houses, so it's not that hard to be famous. But it established my reputation. It's like, hey, this kid is wild. Don't mess with him, which is what I wanted. I never went out to mess with anyone, but I didn't want them to see me as weak. Partly, as I said, that's good. Partly, it's not bad. But that murderous thing that came up in me was affirmed by my father finally. So at the age of 15, he kind of spiritually turned against me. Almost, I wouldn't say disowned me, but saying, "Oh, you're not like me," basically. And at the age of 19, this is what happened. After those guys had gone into their cars, with their tails between their legs, and my whole t-shirt was all torn. And my father said, "Oh, get up, I want to see you. I can see blood. Are you bleeding anywhere?" Because it was a huge, huge fight. And he looked behind me at my back, and he saw that there was blood. He said, "Oh, it's not your blood." And I never forgot that. I mean, I'm 39. I'll be 39. I'll be 40 soon. And I was 19 at the time, or 18, something like that. And I never forgot the feeling when my father said, "Hey, it's not your blood," meaning you belong now. You are part of the tribe that we don't let people mess with us. And for better or for worse, the problem with this is that my aggression never really manifested in a healthy way. I was never in tune with my father as a boy so that I can speak up. I did not become, after I started fighting people, I did not become more confident necessarily in life. When I went to school, it's just that people knew that I could really, if they push me, I could hurt them, really hurt them. But it didn't, when I met new people, it didn't make me more outspoken, more like I am now, because I've done all this work. Now I can hold boundaries, now I can do business with people, but back then I was still not making much eye contact. It's just that if you enter that nightclub, and if you messed with the wrong crowd, which is pretty much our table where we're sitting, nice guys, polite guys, the guys with the shaved head, that's not gonna be good for you. You're fully saying that, but that's part of my story. And those guys can go very far in violence. That was my thing. I had this, and now I still use that. I still use that in that stubbornness. But I didn't know all along that actually I was my father's son. My father's makeup was in me. I had this stubborn sort of bulldog mindset. I mean, a few times I've grabbed someone and all these people will be kicking me, but I just really hurt this one person, and then they had to leave me because they couldn't get their friend out of my grasp. I was so, "You're coming with me. I'll take you with me." I had this, but I didn't know I had it until I started fighting. Until I started following my father's footsteps in the wrong way, because I didn't feel that I belonged to be his son. So there's a huge danger. I mean, I'm here, standing here. I mean, I could have been dead. Look, I've got this from a baseball bat. I have other scars. I've been involved in, I mean, things could have gone really badly for me. So if you feel that I'm telling you this just as a bit of history, no. This is wrong. This is the way I went about this, because it subconsciously came in me, was out of self-hatred. I did not feel that I was my father's son. So there's another way to go about this without compromising your aggressive nature, because you're a man. You have an aggressive nature. The problem is typically it goes two ways. First type of men, they're wild. They go out and they want to prove to their fathers or to themselves something, and they'll beat up anyone. They'll or die trying, believing that, no, I'll be on top. That's not helpful, as you know, to anyone. The second is more like how I became before I started fighting, until I was about 16, 17. Self-hatred. "Oh, I hate you. Oh, you're so weak. You're so weak. I must never be weak. I must never be weak." See, divided against myself. However, these two opposites, where you have a quiet, torn by conflict man, suffering with depression, suffering with anxiety, just living inside. "Oh, no, what shall I say now? Oh, I wish I did not look at this guy, because now he's looking back." Oh, all that inner conflict. This one side of the spectrum, or the other side, which is like, "Come on then, bring it on." And then that guy probably, has like heart problems by the time he gets to 50 years age. This drivenness. although he will be more successful outwardly speaking, not necessarily, but it just just looking at the archetypes, how it works often. But there is a third way. The third, and this is why I'm here. This is why I'm telling you these things. The third way is to deal with your father wound. You probably have a huge. If you're prone to violence, or if you hate violence and are seeking, going out of your way to avoid it, it both come out of the same place. It's just you've reacted differently, given your conditioning and what tools, emotional tools, were available to you. But both they come out of a father wound. They both say, "I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough." The first says, I will show them that I'm strong. The second says, I'm just not good, and I'll just do other things. I'll just be kind. But you don't compromise your strength, man. You cannot be fully kind. You cannot be your full masculine self until you have reclaimed that pure aggression, that pure ability to be angry, and use it without it being out of proportion. But the secret is you need to deal with your father wound. So yeah, I will leave you with that. If you need a coach, if you need someone who would help you with that, happy to help. Let me know. I'll put the link down below, and looking forward to hear from some of you. But till we meet, do not give up on your strength. That's what I'm gonna leave you with.